Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Oasis podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining us again. So I have here, we haven't seen Miss Keisha in a while, girl. Miss Keisha,
I know. I've been
how you
hiding.
been, girl?
I've been good, pretty great. How are you?
I'm good. I can say that I'm good. I'm feeling good. Life is good right now. So I'm not mad at it at all. But yeah, just like we haven't seen you in a while. We got some things to talk about, huh? We got some
Right,
things to
yeah,
talk about. And
yeah.
generally this is not a topic that people like to talk about, but we will touch
Mhm.
on it because it has many layers, right? And it touches our lives in many different ways. And so today we're talking about grief
Mhm.
and the grief of loss specifically, but we'll jump into detail about how that looks and what that actually is. But
Mhm.
go ahead and tell what you been up to, girl.
What have I been up to? Oh, I got my clinical. Yeah, I haven't been here in a while, so I got my clinical social worker license.
Hey, you better get it,
So, so
girl.
I could be an individual practitioner. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get licensed in other states. So far, I could do telehealth in Vermont. I was going for Long Island, but then I was just like, for what?
Hmm.
No, Rhode Island, sorry. But then I probably will be leaning towards Rhode Island and New Jersey for reciprocity, possibly DMV because I
Hmm.
always wanted to move down there. So I'm just kind of doing the back end work so that way my future self could thank her. And let's see, just been chilling. I have no complaints. I've just been taking it very, very easily and slowly.
I hear that and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I know again a lot has happened and congratulations on
Thank
all
you.
the accomplishments and anyone interested, y'all heard where she at, so go find her. All right. I I know amongst, accomplishments and such, some not so great things, has happened. And I know, over the past year, just like me, you've lost your grandma, right?
Yeah.
So that's one aspect of loss and grief that we'll touch on. So, and then we'll touch on the other piece of it. But talk to us
Mm-hmm.
about that experience and, whatever you want to share, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, of course. So I think last year, a week after my birthday, my grandmother passed away. She was slowly at a decline for some time, but like my grandmother was like the queen of bounce back. Like she'll go to the hospital and she will be diagnosed with stomach cancer or uterine cancer. And, my aunts, I had two aunts that are nurses, used to nurse her back to health with the proper management and food, and she'll bounce right back and, extend more of her years. And I think when she was in the hospital one last time in 2024, yes, 2024, I think it was late August, something in me knew she was not going to bounce back
Mhm.
from this.
Mhm.
But like I kind of like prepped my mom, but like my mom was just like, no, you gotta be positive. And I'm like, I don't think this is not going to work. So towards like October, she was bedbound. And in November, it was my birthday, and I spoke to her briefly, and then that was it. It was like that was the last time I spoke to her, because then she stopped speaking,
Mm.
and then I believe on it was the day before, not day before Thanksgiving. I would say the 24th. Yes, the 24th, she was transitioning. Like you could visibly see her like transitioning. And how I explain this is like that show with Sterling K. Brown. It was on NBC. I forgot the
What
show
him?
name.
The one where he was in the family?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate finale is the mother dying, and she was going through the train of her life,
Mm.
seeing her children, and that's why I was at the deathbed, and I was looking at her transitioning into that. It's like her eyes was moving, and she was groaning, and it seemed like she was just transitioning and going off. And I left before she passed, but like I think a lot of feelings came to me because I didn't really spend much time with my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
It was not like I didn't love.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by the demands of life, motherhood? At AJO Consulting Services, LLC, we offer comprehensive wellness services that include personalized coaching, doula care, consulting, and personal and professional development to help you navigate this beautiful yet challenging phase of life. Our services are designed to support individuals and communities, especially women, birthing people, and families of color, in creating a more joyful and stress-free experience. From family planning to postpartum care, we provide the tools and resources you need to thrive. Let AJO Consulting Services help you prioritize your well-being and create a healthier, happier future for yourself and your family.
Of her at all. It was more of a protection factor for me. Like when I get like I notice, and this is why I'm working with in therapy because therapists need therapy.
That's right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed for me like when my best friend died 15 years ago, I was because she passed away 15 years ago, it was very difficult for me to manage that intense feeling of loss
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of started to break away from, not break away from friendships, but like just not be so intense with my friendships and my relationships. So like with my grandma, I'm like knowing that she was like getting older, it was like, oh, let me just kind of step away and push myself away.
Mm-hmm.
So when she passed, it was like a very strong feeling of sadness and regret that I wasted so much time being in my own bubble that I didn't get to spend much time with her. So that really set me back because we had two funerals. We had one funeral up here, and then we had another funeral in Guyana. And Guyana was a little worse because it was like the ultimate finale of everything, her transitioning, her day, burying her, painting over the tomb, etc. So it was really like very intense. So I think from then on, I realized like I can't keep operating in this way. And because I was operating in this way so long, it requires me to kind of deprogram the way I thought about relationships, deprogram the way I thought about myself in relationships, and kind of deprogram what I view as grief.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back at it, I was grieving for a long time, and I think with grandmother's death, it was just more of acknowledgement of like, yeah, you was grieving for like a good 3 to 4 years before her passing and before you turn 40, because she passed when I turned 39. And I think I was at the tail end of the grief cycle where it was like, okay, this is a thing, this is a reality, everything's gonna be okay. And then this hit, and it was like, like, let me set myself back. But, you know, grief it comes and goes. I just right now live the way I know she have wanted me to live and to take experiences for what it is as learning opportunities for growth and understanding, but then also compassion and kindness towards others and yourself.
I can definitely hear that and understand it. And I didn't realize we had so many similarities in how our grandmas passed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that because very similar, grandma in and out, she'll get sick, but then she'll bounce back and it's like, okay, same with you. But I had a dream because she was in Haiti when she got sick, which tends to happen because she's not getting care and all that stuff. And she's
Yeah.
in she's in the, what do you call it? The country or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
like, and then, but I had a dream when she was in Haiti, and like she came to me, was just like talking to me. It was like essentially what came from the dream was this is gonna be it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
But the crazy thing was it didn't happen that year. It happened the following year though. But
Yeah.
from that dream, I was like, bet. Like I made sure I spent so much time with her. Like I did
Mm-hmm.
before, but like this, I was very like, anytime I can spend time with her, I'm spending time, I'm spending time, I'm spending time. And so we talked a lot,
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And then, but the transition piece of what you talked about of like when you can see them transitioning, like that is real. It's very
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like she went into the hospital. She was in the hospital for a little bit and she was like, she don't want to be here. So he's like, all right, we're gonna take her home. But then when she got home, she was very just like just different, but then she stopped talking. And so like that whole piece of like stop talking, then she was just moaning and groaning. Like the same thing that you talked about that part. Like,
Mhm.
wow, like I
So I
didn't
remember the show now. It's This Is Us.
this is us. There you go.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was This Is Us. And then I was like when she was moaning and going, I was just like, oh God, like, you just wanted her to snap. Like for me, like personally, when I was there, I wanted her to snap out of it. But then it was just like, no, this is it. Because I do recall, like when I spoke to her eyes was open and she spoke, and then she stopped speaking, and then her eyes was closed. And the day before she passed, they put me on FaceTime with her, and I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And I was asking my mom, like, oh, you want me to come over? And she was like, nah, like we'll keep you posted. But I was just like, something told me like, nah, come over. So I took the cab and I went over, and when I saw her, and it was just like wow, like this is a woman that made mid-tie, made pastries, made ginger beer. I remember going, we used to all live in the same building before she moved with my aunt. I had to go upstairs and give her some groceries, or I had to go upstairs and give her something to mix for grandma, I mean for my mother, excuse me. And it was just like wow, like all those experiences just come rushing back, and it was like, all right. And I never been so close to that before, but like this was like really it. And then after she passed and after we finished the funeral and everything, it was just like, yeah, like now I'm recognizing more at this big age of what grief looked like. Like I didn't have the words then because it was just like, oh, I'm anxious, I'm depressed all the time. But then it was like, no, girl, like you were grieving like starting when you was 38. It was just a snap of the finger. And now looking back at it, it was like, no, I understood why and how I came to that part of grieving, and then led to my grandmother's death to being like, okay, you know what? This is it. This is not the finality, but it just kind of gave you the acknowledgement and the understanding of what you was grieving and what were you at loss for.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. And the piece that you mentioned about after her death, it made you live differently, right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing like I took away and that's still like it's just the most impactful thing. And I know for some it might be weird, especially if you've never experienced it, like the loss of someone. And more recently I lost my father, right? There's something about a loss, especially something that's someone who's close to you,
Mm-hmm.
just makes you analyze and look at your life and you're like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
no, like,
yeah.
nah, and my
Yeah.
grandma's death made me the same thing as you. Made me was like, okay, how am I living my life? This is not,
Mm-hmm.
this is not how I want it. This is not how she would be happy about, about. So
Right.
what are we changing? What are we cleaning up? And I did
Right.
a big cleanup of my life, honestly, after her passing, and it's been way better ever since. But also the passing of my father, I realized it kind of in a weird way because we had, a strange relationship. It wasn't like a close bond type relationship, but his passing
Mm-hmm.
empowered me in so many ways, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
felt like it was,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. That I'm still processing that one, but it just made me feel strength, which is odd, but
Yeah.
I definitely get that. I definitely understand where you're coming with that.
Yeah. I think, for my grandmother passing, it gave me a chance to actually be vulnerable.
Mm,
And I think, because now, like, when, if I see a friend or if I text a friend or whatever, I'll be like, oh, I love you. Like, you notice I'm saying that I love you more. And I'll be never telling people, like, I love you. It's just like, you know how I feel, But now it's like I'm more intentional of saying, I love you, or let me know when you get home safely, or let me know if you need, because I've always been a helper. Like I've always been a collaborative, a connector, a helper. But I think it allowed me to be vulnerable, to being more expressive with my feelings and giving me the language, I guess, and the confidence. So I guess that's the strength piece, the confidence of expressing how I feel, and like knowing that if someone doesn't understand, they don't understand, and I can't force them to understand my way. I just to let them know like this is what's happening with me, and it's either you get right or get left, and that's all I can offer you at the moment.
hmm And that's another piece too that I know. I also noticed that after my grandma's passing, yeah, my family, my nuclear family, let's say, they got more expressive with saying "I love you" and making sure that
Hmm.
we were because we weren't as expressive. But
Yeah.
I noticed after that, definitely, there's a lot more "I love you" and being like more affectionate with each other. So
Hmm.
with grief
Hmm.
does come change, and that's a
Yeah.
piece that people I think sometimes the conversation is left out when we talk about grief because we focus on the
Yeah.
sadness of it.
Yeah.
Sad. Like I'm still listen, don't get me. We can't talk about my grandma too long because then I'm gonna start wanting to cry. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it is what it is. It's very sad, but it, there's also positive things that come out of it. And I don't know
Yeah.
that we talk about it as much. And I don't know if it's because people feel like it'll negate the death, but
Yeah.
no, I think it's a gift in the death, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I would say it's like a renewal
Mm,
of who you are and your values and your morals, and allowing the transition and the change to happen. Like prior to my grandmother's passing, I think like for me, that at a loss, that grief was like knowing that I'm touching 40, and there was a certain part of my life where I thought I would have marriage and kids
mm,
and happiness and a picket fence and financial stability and more money in the bank and stuff like that, and everything didn't happen that way. And I think when I got closer to 40, it made me feel sad because I'm watching everybody have the dream that they worked so hard on. And here I am doing the same thing, but then there's a disconnect. And I'm trying to figure out the disconnect
mm,
because to some people, they could say, oh, well, Keisha is jealous. And it's like, no, I'm not jealous. I'm just wondering what is that connecting piece that you have that I could replicate for me to get what I've been desiring for. And I realized like your connecting pieces cannot fit my connecting pieces.
mm,
And I've been like intentional on figuring out what's the connecting pieces. But then also it's like, no, maybe all the pieces is there. It's just probably not your calling, your timing, or what is envisioned with your life. So the other aspect is the spiritual journey where it's like, God, you say you had this for me, and here I am waiting for this, but do you really have it for me? Or you're just saying it out of like hope. And then the other part is like, maybe this is not what he had for me, is what I man made for myself.
mm,
And he possibly has something different for me,
that could be along those lines, but may not be explicitly. So, like, for example, I want children.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am working with kids, and I could be the mother or the aunt or the sister girl for these kids that possibly have parents at home that doesn't have that best relationship. So I could be viewed as a mother for them. So I have to look at it in different ways because and this is controversial. I used to tell people like it's okay to be mad at guys. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, he knows that you could be
Mm-hmm.
pissed at him, but then it's also like you have to look at it the other way of like, well, let's say you did have the wife or the husband and the children and stuff like that. One, will you be happy? Two, would you be content with what that is called of you? Three, can you actually give what is required for these things? Like
Mm-hmm.
being a wife, you gotta be on.
Mm-hmm.
Being a mother, you gotta be on times two, times 10.
24/7, 365, girl.
365, and I don't have children, but I work with kids, and every day it's like everybody be in my office, even when it's when it's my lunch, they want to like pass notes under the door, and I'm like, yo, like,
But you get to clock out at work, girl, and go home to
right,
your
and I
quiet
get, and
time. At
that's why I
home.
be like, it's 4 o'clock. At this point, I don't care for you. Please leave me alone, and I walk away. But then it's like, can I really do this 24/7, three
Mm,
sixty five with my own?
mm, mm,
So it allows me to address a lot of things that I probably manufactured and
mm,
hoping that God would give me versus kind of leaning into what God is giving me, which is like the autonomy, the freedom. And yes, I'm not gonna deny you partnership and children, but then it for that part, I want you to be ready for the emotional bandwidth that would requires versus hoping that everything will be great.
mm-hmm. Girl, you preaching, sis. Okay. Okay, Pastor. You preaching because all the things, and I'm gonna just snap it up, all the things. Then just you segued into the other piece of grief that I wanted to talk about is that, yeah, the grief.
Are you seeking guidance and support in life on your motherhood journey? AJO Consulting Services, LLC, offers tailored strategies to help you overcome challenges, build resilience, and achieve your goals. Empower yourself with personalized coaching.
That comes with life as you get older. And you touched on it so much, right? So grieving the life that you thought you would have had. And our lives are, we've known each other very long, but our lives, have deviated differently. And the thing is, it's like we both are grieving in truth, but we're grieving different things, right? Like you're grieving, the possibilities of, what, could have been, right? Kids, marriage,
Mhm.
this and this and this and this. And here I am, I'm grieving the life I had before.
Mhm. Mhm.
Before becoming a mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like, girl, you better enjoy it. Girl, I wish. Because it's so different, and it's one thing. Before you get it, you can romanticize things, and then when you have it, it is a completely different story. But I love, love, love what you said about, is this something that God has put on me in my spirit, in my heart, or is this something I manufactured myself? And girl, you was eating there, cause no, those are that's some real questions I think that we need to ask ourselves, especially as we're getting into the 40 club. Because I'm
Yeah.
turning 40 this year. Such an important question to be like, is this really two things? Is this the things that is causing me sadness, the things that I'm looking on and I'm like, oh, I don't have, are they things that I really feel that, I would truly want, and God is like has promised me this?
Right.
Or is it something that is because the people around me are
Mhm.
getting, the people around me are doing, and so I just feel like I'm missing out, and so now I'm like, I want, oh, God's gonna give me,
Right.
that right there is truth. And I think as we get older, and it's crazy how your grandma's passing caused you to get to this headspace. And like I said, like sometimes death is a gift. But then you also entered into, you know, your 40th year. Is when as you get older, you start realizing what's what for real. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, like I started to realize like you know, what I don't have shouldn't define me.
Mm,
And I have to be intentional on how I live and how I service, because just because I don't have the things that I thought I wanted or possibly still want doesn't mean I can't be in the service of others
mm-hmm.
and serve other people in the capacity that I'm looking for to serve. So like for partnership, like, yeah, I may not have a partner at this moment, but then I could be a partner to my friends
Mm-hmm.
and we could have that best sister relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a mother, but I could be a mother of to the kids who possibly have living or alive mothers that they are grieving that they don't have the best type of relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that I had to like come to terms with, because I'm here trying to like hide myself, shrink myself, because I don't have the things that is defined by society as success. And I had to create a whole new definition of success and what that looks like to me and not what it looks like for society as well as Webster dictionary. I have to define what success look like.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that I've been doing is successful, but for me, like when you're in the act of doing, it's just like something that you normalize. It's like a chore. It's like, oh, I'm doing this as a chore. You don't celebrate that success. You just
Mm-hmm.
celebrate it, or you don't even celebrate it at all. You just look at it as a chore of something that you is in your own doing because this is required of you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another thing that I'm learning after the grief, because grief will never go away. Like there's days where I'm like, whoa, child, nothing came out of this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy. But then the other days it's like, oh, when you're at home and you're doing your own thing, it's like, oh, I would wish that I had a partner, or I wish I had something there with me. So my grief is like a wave. It fluctuates. It could be good on a great day and I could surf it. And then some days I could be overpowered by it. And that's okay too. So that's another thing that I had to learn of being okay where the emotional bandwidth is concerned. Like I'm allowed to have good and I'm allowed to have bad days. It shouldn't define, who I am as a person. Is defined as more of like, yeah, this is it. You're allowed to feel what you feel, and no one should take away your feeling, even yourself.
Yeah. No, that is, oh girl, so true. And I think as we're getting older and seeing things, and people are becoming more vocal too in this generation, but everything that glitters is not gold. Okay?
Mhm.
'Cause all that shit they told us to strive for, now we get into this age and we like, man, fuck all this.
Right. I don't want
Like, nah,
it.
I don't want that. And
Yeah.
then we're redefining what success actually looks like, you know? And so
Mhm.
yeah, you really, really, really are touching on a lot of good points. And so, you know, you already did say a lot of this stuff, but what would you suggest to others in this journey of grief, right? Whether it's grieving a loved one or grieving the life that you thought you would have, what would be some things you would suggest to others?
I mean, to stay in those feelings, like you you're not built as a robot. You are allowed to feel what you have to feel and navigate it the best way you have. Now, if you recognize that you're navigating in a unhealthy manner, that's when you step in and get the necessary tools to help the therapist, the coping strategies, etc. Or also being open with your grief, because you just never know who you could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Like how I related to you earlier in this conversation about our grandmothers. We relate in so many ways, but we also related in opposite ends. Like you are a mother and I'm not. And you're like, girl, live your life. And I'm telling you, like, girl, I want the picnic. So it
Come get her. No.
right. Now I'm okay. No, no. No, but like that's the thing. Like it's great to be honest, and I feel like in our friendship sometimes is not rooted in honesty
Mm,
because we don't really share the nitty gritty of what we are actually going through.
mm,
It's just that we say it in hearsay and we just keep it pushing. Or like nobody don't check on each other. They just say the bare minimum of like, I'm okay, like, I'm just going to work and coming back and stuff like that. It's like nothing in the between of like, yo, like I'm looking around this apartment and I'm feeling kind of lonely, or yo, like
mm.
I want to go outside, but then there's something that's preventing me from going outside. I don't know what, or like, yo, like I thought that this person I was talking to or I was dating would have been like that person for me, and they are not, and I'm very disappointed with the outcome. So we don't really share the nitty gritty, and I think that's how we're able to manage our grief a little better by being more vocal because we are not burdens to our friends. And I think that friendships is as a value is rooted in honesty, trustworthiness, um, related shared interests. And I think if you're saying that this is your friend that you trust and you value, then why can't you value them with your feelings and let them hold part of the load of saying, hey, I understand what you're coming from. Like, yeah, I'm married, but I still am grieving part of myself that used to be in the streets. I ain't have to worry about the emotional bandwidth of this other person. I ain't have to worry about, holding down a household, etc. So I think if we allow ourselves to be honest in our conversations with our friends, I think grief will subside. It never goes away, but it will subside a little bit and to its point where it comes few times when you're grieving that person or grieving the loss of what you thought your life would have been.
I agree with you so much. So much, so much, so much. I would like to believe I'm that friend that's gonna tell you, girl, look, shit is fucked up. But like sometimes you get tired of being that friend too, because then other people keep it on the surface
Yeah,
and you're like, maybe I'm spilling too much, right? But
yeah.
I completely agree with that. I tell people the truth, baby. I'm telling you the truth, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask if you don't want to hear it.
Right,
Okay?
exactly.
But I 1000% agree with you. I think that if we had more honest conversations, I shout this from the mountaintops though, when it comes to motherhood, especially, that if people were more honest about what pregnancy actually is, what motherhood actually looks like, a lot of people would really think harder
Mm-hmm.
before
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it and just engaging in it, because it's not what people have been selling you, and they've been selling you that because they want you to keep having babies, okay?
Yeah.
And I think now people are coming to realize like, oh, maybe not. And so they're now making a choice not to. And that's what people were afraid of. But I think being able to talk to your peoples, and I think that's also why people need therapists, right? They don't have anyone around them that they can be fully honest with,
Mm-hmm.
that they can be their full selves and feel not that they're not going to be judged or whatever the case is. And that's unfortunate because the therapists are important. Don't get crazy now, because
Yeah.
I love my therapist. Love you, girl. But but because I'm still honest and I still feel like I need that space, right? But if people were more honest with each other, like if you come to your friend and be like, girl, so how is being married for real, right? How is being a mother for
Motherhood.
real or whatever? And I can honestly be like, girl, it's like this, it's like this, it's like that. I'm not trying to deter you, but I want
Mm-hmm.
you to know what it is. I think that people would, one, have more of realistic idea of what they're striving for, dreaming about, and two, if they do partake in it and they do decide, okay, I still want to go this route, they know at least they have this person that's honest enough that I can go to you when you
Mm-hmm.
have, oh girl, so and so did da 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 da, or let me tell you what, like you just have that connectedness that
Right.
it just make you feel supported and seen and
Mhm.
heard. It'll just be a lot less loneliness, and that lot, the heaviness of grief will be
Yeah.
just less.
I totally agree. I think, what I notice, especially with some clients and, even in my own friendships, is like the objective point of view. Like if I'm telling you X, Y, and Z, and you feel like I'm deterring you, then I'm just going to shut down and not tell you what I'm planning to do. And I don't think people don't look at it as objective. They feel like, oh, this is a factual and this person is trying to deter me not to do certain things. And sometimes you just have to take their advice as literal advice, not something that is a placeholder in your actual life. So like for you, you could say, "Oh, motherhood is ghetto. This is this and this and that," and I could be like, "I get that, but I'm not gonna use what your opinion is to deter me of what I want." And I think that's what it's been happening, especially in friendships, because if I tell you like the sky is blue, but you are so adamant that the sky is orange, but I'm like, girl, it's blue, and you're not seeing the blue, then you will take me as like, oh, girl, you're not seeing my view. I can't speak to you no more. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's happening with these conversations where it just kind of stall and then it doesn't continue until you hear the tail end of what happened and
Yeah.
then be like, oh, I didn't know because you stopped sharing. So it's very interesting to navigate, and as you said, like if we are honest and truly holding each other hands about what we go through, then our grief could be less and be less impactful in our lives. Because I know how grief has showed up where I didn't do not a thing. I was on the couch every day. I was
Mm-hmm.
eating, I was watching TV. Everyone was like, oh, you keep watching SpongeBob. But I'm like, yo, SpongeBob was my safety show.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched SpongeBob because it was like, oh, I could laugh at something that I have recently saw for the longest time, and I could feel comfort in that. So SpongeBob was my safety show when I got depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I that's the thing about grief and everything. It's like you now understanding certain behaviors that come about with the grief where you constantly was always hiding, shielding, even policing your own self, your own body
Yeah.
about certain things when you are transitioning. Like it's like losing weight and then now realizing the clothes don't fit no more. And then you're still wearing the big clothes because you're insecure about how the new body looks.
Mm.
So I had noticed like certain things that I was doing in my grief that it was like, oh, okay, if I see that this is coming up again, then I'm gonna have to address whatever the elephant in the room is. So that way I could go back to a regular schedule routine to constantly pour in self compassion, kindness, and love and grace into myself in whatever I go through.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so is there anything that if the listeners and viewers didn't hear nothing, what's one thing or a couple of things that you want them to remember about grief?
Um, Grief is not linear. It is very wavy, so you are allowed to have emotions that goes up and down.
Mm.
Don't police your emotions because I think it will make it harder for you to overcome
Yeah.
the grief that you're feeling.
Mhm.
I think just remember kindness and what kindness looks like for you and for yourself, and how do you pour kindness to yourself and to others, because we tend to treat others better than we treat ourselves.
Mm.
And I think once you start going back to the drawing board and pick up your coping tools, I think you'll be able to manage your grief better. Now, if you realize like you're still grieving, nothing is working, then see a therapist. Like it's okay to see a therapist just to have a obstructive view, a third person view about what you're going through, because we can't normalize what we're going through because we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So if you could talk to a therapist, and sometimes a therapist could relate, then it'll be much better for you to just kind of let it go. Elsa.
Absolutely. While you was talking, I'm over here in my head thinking about Gracie's Corner.
Right,
Feels like you can't go under it, you can't go over it, you got to go through it. Okay.
exactly,
And that is
exactly.
one thing that I think that was the most helpful thing in all the grief I've experienced. Because the grief
Hmm.
of losing someone, the grief of now being a mother and grieving my single life and grieving my freedom is you can't bury the feelings, just ride it through. You angry, be angry. You know,
Be angry, be
like
sad, be
be
sad.
sad, cry it out,
You
get it out
know,
your system.
take your days off.
Yeah.
Take them off. If you
Yeah.
waking up and you're angry, or you waking up and you're sad, and you're recognizing that these are some unstable emotions that would not carry greatly through the day, take your days off.
Yep.
Take them off. Work yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, Miss Keisha, where can folks find you if they want to chat, they want some therapy, where can they
Yeah.
find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Keisha Cameron on LinkedIn. KES, not KEI. And I'm on Instagram sometimes. I'm working on that. I'm off during Lent season. So I'll be back after Easter. You can find me in those two places. I don't have the Twitter, or not Twitter. I don't have the X. I have Threads. So you can find me on Threads as Keish1119. Same name as my Instagram. And that's it for now.
Is your psychology today up?
No,
Not
I'm
yet.
working on that. So
Soon come.
give me, yeah, soon come, soon come. Give me until March 25th.
Okay.
Yeah. All
Thank you for
right.
joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajaysoasis@gmail.com. That's AAYJAYSOASIS@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.